You are now listening to the Artsindy Crossroads show. Here's
Suk-Yen Lee, host for CBC's Definitely Not the Opera and former VJ for Much Music.
I just Googled Nick Panu, pretending you're Marlon Brando and you're asleep on you're asleep on your laptop.
Will Sasso stars for Mad TV and another series coming out on CBS.
Your intro there sounded like I was just making my way down to the ring for a MMA fight.
interviews with Ruth Moody, the Wailing Jennies.
You're so welcome. Take care.
Motivational speaker David Roche.
Thanks a lot, Nick. Take care of yourself. I really appreciate it.
Karen LeBlanc, the star of Nurse, the fighter boy.
Hi, Nick. I'm really good, and thank you for asking me.
People in film, theater, music, the arts.
You know, culture and art and expression are fundamental to that essence of life.
It does take some strength, and it does take the skin of a rhino sometimes. You know, it's worth it. It really is. It's worth it.
Hey, so listeners, we're just speaking to the man, Babz Kabaz, who was so gracious to take his time with us and speak with us. We got this 2-part interview.
Anyways, but yeah, it's a very interesting thing is like a lot of people's sentiments that aren't part of the in-crowd of comedy. That is a lot of people's sentiments with stand-up is the toughest part isn't the crowd. It ain't writing jokes. It's dealing with that in-crowd comedian. Isn't that interesting? It's weird. Comedy, people kind of do treat it like, oh, but this is where I get to go up on stage and talk about my issues. This is where you go up on stage and try to make it fun. That's the thing one thing that bothered me when I started with comedy, they're like, oh yeah, do some self-deprecating. People like that. It's like, why? Get my face. Why would I want to go up on stage and do myself? I found that really weird. And then all I saw was comedians going up on stage and self-deprecating. And I'm like, I don't get it. How is this entertaining? But the crowd, it was because it's safe. Self-deprecating is safe. So you get to be a little raunchy and a little mean and everything, but the joke is you. So the crowd are like, okay, not even the crowd, because I think we talked about the crowd isn't as sensitive as these comedians. The comedians are the ones that really think you should be PC, really think you shouldn't make fun of this or make fun of that. The crowd don't really care for the most part. What I've seen, like with my race humor or even like other people's stuff, is the crowd actually usually likes it. It's just like, how they always say, like, when you talk about race, it's the white guy that gets offended. It's not anyone else. That's the funny thing. I always tell people.
By the way, from our last names, listeners, Babz is.
I'm not giving my last name for this.
No, well,
but Babz Kabaz. I'm Persian. I'm Iranian.
And my ethnic background is Indian, from India. And now it's walking on eggshells.
Eggshells, man. I stomp on eggshells.
But you talked about. Okay, do you think comedy's gotten too dirty?
No, that's it. No, I don't think so. I think it's actually getting too scared to be dirty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like it was getting really dirty, but again, not too dirty. I don't think there's such thing as too anything. And again, that goes into me saying I just believe in like art being authentic. Right now though, it is like going through a scared patch where it's scared to be dirty, especially if you see like on the news and on Facebook feeds and everything. Everybody's trigger warning this. Everybody is, like you can't talk about this anymore. You can't joke about that. You can't joke about this. Now, if you're a true artist, you would just say, oh, great, I'm going to go joke about that right now then. But instead, what they're doing, and that's what's breaking my heart, is they're going to say, oh, okay, I guess we're not going to joke about that. Oh, you said this thing and it hurt people's feelings. You got to apologize. And it breaks my heart to see actual artists or successful people of any walk in life go and say, okay, I'm sorry. And to me, like, that's why I think a big reason why Trump won over people was he stood up and says, no, why should I apologize for these things? And as crazy as Trump is, and I always tell people, like, it's funny because I've been arguing for Trump, even though I tell people I don't support Trump. I don't think he should have won. I don't think Hillary should have won. I think that whole thing should have been, like, do-over. No, let's spend another year figuring this thing out. Obama, please stay another year. We got to figure this thing out. We have 2 clowns running for president. And unfortunately, he won, and I don't see, it's almost like America deserves it, though. They need a good, a reset button. It looks like he's going to set a huge reset button. But it's, he won, though, because he won over people with the fact that people are tired of a small group of loudmouth, ultra PC, ultra liberal, and I'm not, again, bashing liberals. I'm saying these people are ultra liberal. They're ultra to the left, saying to people how everyone should be living their lives. And as we all know, Christians tried to do that a while ago, and that didn't win over, and that's, anybody that goes around saying, well, no, I personally don't like this, and my friend is black, so nobody can say a black joke, and my other friend is gay, so nobody can say anything. And anybody that does that, you know what, on paper and on TV, people are like, okay, we're not going to say that because we don't want to hurt feelings. But for the masses, and again, this goes back to our talk about what the comedians tell you your comedy should be like versus what the crowd wants. Well, what the crowd and what the masses, we're saying, no, we're sick of people telling us how to live. We're sick of people trying to censor us just because one idiot can't handle their feelings. So that's how one idiot became president, is because people were saying, we're sick of people telling us, no, this, everyone's inclusive. And we're like, okay, cool, everyone's included, but can I still enjoy my stuff? No, but everyone, it might hurt someone's feeling. Well, then they don't come to the show then. Or with comedy, I tell people, if your feelings are hurt, wait 5 minutes and someone else is going to come up. Yeah. You're coming to a comedy show. So, again, I give long explanations to your short questions. Sorry, I don't do short answers, I guess.
No, I actually maybe took the wrong angle. We start off with, is it cathartic for an artist? Is that why they perform? But what do you feel the audience? Why is the audience coming to a show? See, I never realized this until you mentioned a very good point. Door you opened up is people are probably sick of political correctness.
Yeah.
So they don't mind coming to a
show.
show.
Damn president became president because people were sick of it. I don't think people voted for Trump based on his merit. They're voting for him because they're just sick of seeing the damn same thing, and people come and say, well, you can't do that and can't say that now. A good example is even though I bash religion, one thing actually I do agree with America is going back, and again, I'm so going off topic with the question you asked me, but I'll say this one thing and I'll go and answer your question, then you can choose if you want to edit this out or not. But in America, they had that one that story of there's a gay couple that went to a bakery and they wanted a cake for their gay wedding, which is nice, but then the bakist, is that a word? I don't know. It's a bakist now. I don't care. It's a bakist. The bakist says, sorry, it's against my religion. I can make any other cake for you guys, but I just can't make this one. I'm sorry. She was actually really nice about it. Now this couple went to the news about it, discrimination this and blah, 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 blah. And just everyone sent death threats to this bakery. It was disgusting. And then they came out with this religious freedom law, which is like, well, you know what? You have the right to practice your religion, which you always had in America. You always had the right to practice your religion, whatever that may be, as long as it doesn't hurt someone. They did not hurt this gay couple. They just refused service of one service. They even said, we'll make any other cake, but we just can't do this because it's against our religion. You can go down the street and go to this other bakery that could do that, and that would have been the end of story. But this, it went so big, and they even brought in this Religious Freedom Act, which, that's in the Constitution. But then people start going crazy, and no, you can't do this, blah, 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 you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. And it's just again, what did this bakery do that was so wrong? This goes to the whole thing of, and I totally forgot what the question was now. This totally goes, and that's just, correct. Yeah.
No, you're on track.
Yeah, just talking about that bakery. To me, that is wrong. Not what the bakery did, but what people's reaction was. To me, if I own my own business, I should have the right to practice in my business however I want. Now, they refused business, so they didn't make that money. That's their punishment. And then the next day, someone cannot also come in and they will, if there's a lot of gay weddings going on in that neighborhood and then they're not cashing in on that, maybe that bakery will learn its lesson and then they're like, okay, because capitalism is the answer for that. And for that one, well, yeah, if there's a lot of gay weddings going on, they're like, okay, well, you know what, we got to get into that market. They'll change their policy. Or if there's not that much going on, they're like, you know what, it's not something, like, for me, if say I'm a sculptor and somebody comes in and says, I want you to sculpt. I'm like, sorry, I only sculpt. Well, I'm not going to change my way because there's more of a market for what I'm doing. So it's a very weird thing. Everyone started crapping on that place because they didn't want to fit into the liberal PC mold, even though they were kind of nice about it. Like, hey, sorry, we're just trying to do us. Leave us alone. So again, they're not the only one. It's a very loud group of people that just yell and say, no, you can't do this, you can't. So what was your question again? I so went off topic.
No, you hit it. Because people might be, sick of that
the crowd, yeah, or people
political correctness. So they kind of like that, hairy, sketchy, borderline, like non-political stuff that can be end up being really raunchy and offend people.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, I think, going to talk about, I guess, I kind of remember your question, and now talking about, I think you're just asking, like, the crowd, and are they sick of this stuff? Me, like, I'm a suburb guy, and a lot of my friends out here, blue-collar, working-class people, and I feel like that and, a strong Asian population is what makes up a lot of Vancouver, especially outside of downtown core. Now, a lot of the comedy takes place in the downtown core, and I always told people, think about not just doing comedy for a couple of hipsters that come in to your bar every now and then, but like the people that drive from Coquitlam or from, Maple Ridge and come out to these shows. Think about, well, do they want to see the same hipster stuff, or do they want something that resonates with them? When I see the comedians, the only edgy things they do is they're like, oh yeah, Surrey, haha, I hope they burn down, haha, Maple Ridge, isn't that stupid, huh? Oh, Coquitlam, oh, sisters and brothers, yeah. And you're like, okay, so you're just crapping on these people.
Yeah, who are coming to the...
Yeah, and these people that are, like, doing the effort to coming through the shows. So I guess, like, is the crowd getting tired? I think so. I mean, I do, like, one thing I always like, because I'm kind of an extrovert in a way. I'm an extrovert, but an introvert. It's very, I don't know, I'm not going to talk about that, but... like, I am an extrovert, and I do like to talk to people. Like, that's why I always take customer service or sales jobs. I actually love talking to people. As you can tell in this podcast, I'm yappering like no tomorrow. I go and, I talk to the crowd. I like to get to know them. And for the most part, they're not what these, what people think. Like, oh, we're PC people, and we might get offended at this, and we might... No, a lot of them are, like, if they're in Vancouver, a lot of them are actually from other countries. They're tourists. A lot of them are, like, people, metalhead, they drink hard or whatever. Some are hipsters, but it's just like, they don't have the sensibilities that we think they have. And so maybe we shouldn't treat them like they're kids.
Babz, is there a line you think comedians shouldn't cross, though? Like, there is a certain genres of comedy which people would find offensive, but within the community, it's given the respectability as a genre. Well, yeah, like rape jokes. Is there a line that comedians shouldn't cross, and that maybe audiences will be offended by, so there's no point in doing it?
Yeah, I think the line is whatever your skill is. If you're very skilled, you can make a rape joke, and the crowd will pop. The crowd will like it. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen in even sensitive crowds where, if you can handcraft joke and it's good, it's funny, people will like it. It's the line is whatever your skill is. I think, because again, to me, everything's very subjective. It's the word I'm looking for. I don't think there's like certain ethics and sensibilities that there aren't really real objections. I mean, like, but yeah, rape is kind of a strong line. I would tell people, don't go there unless you're really skilled and unless you can really sell a funny joke that it made people going to that dark area worth it. And I've seen, like, yeah, people that just suck at it, and it's just uncomfortable, and you're like, damn it, now we got to pick up this room after that. So if you're not that funny, don't go there yet. You know, go into places like, be raunchy, but, you know, go into safer, like, talk about poop, talk about sex, talk about drinking or whatever. Leave the really hardcore stuff for when you get that skill and everything, when you get that ability, or when the crowd is, you know, like, there are shows that are like, hey, this is just a dirty show. All right, then you can do whatever you want there. But if it's just a regular show, you don't want to really kick the audience in the teeth that hard, because, like, that's one of the weakness of comedy as well. It's not properly, like, in its genres. Like, if you're gonna go see a music show, you know what kind of music show you're gonna go see. You're gonna go see blues with your friends, so you're just gonna see blues. You're gonna go see rock. Well, there's rock and roll right there. But with your friends, when you go out and say, hey, let's go see a comedy show, well, there ain't a category. Well, this room is just this kind of comedy. It's mixed, so you don't know what you're gonna see. So you don't want to kick the audience square in the jaw with a hardcore thing. I mean, like, for my uncle complained to me because he came home and was like, yeah, I went to see this comedy show. All they were talking about was periods and masturbating.
Yeah, I hate that.
And
well,
so to me, that's his line, you know, like, which is a very, like, kind of, you know, the line for him is really high up. So I'm like, crap, so he's not going to like anything I do. But that's the thing, right? Like, so the line to everyone is different. It's all about skill.
Yeah, I see the point you're making. Unless you can do it in a way, you're at that skill level where you can do it in a way where it's not so much about the joke, but what it reveals, the truth it reveals it's making light of something. It's kind of a satire or a parody. People are not necessarily going to go out and do that, but you know, we talked about the performer, cathartic, stepping outside themselves, but actually, for the audience, what are they looking for when they come to the show? So
to be entertained.
Yeah, to be entertained, to
be entertained and
to step outside of them, out of the context.
Of course, always. That's why anybody goes out, is to step outside themselves, or at least they should try to do that. I mean, that's why there is art and entertainment, is to step out, a sense of escapism, and also a sense of, like, enlightening your inner self in a way. So, I mean, that sounds a little foofy, but, like, you know, like, people enjoy art because it makes them feel something, you know. So it's not just escapism, but it's also bringing some, like, it's nourishment for yourself. It's nourishment for your soul. That's why art is beautiful. And that's something I always kind of wondered, like, growing up, being an artist. I was like, well, what am I really doing? Not, you know, it's not like my friends that are welders or plumbers. I'm not really building anything. I'm not really, but, you know, people really enjoy it. And in the end, you know, what is life without proper, like, nourishment and proper enjoyment through arts and entertainment and activities? So that's what people go to these shows. And so it is, yeah, to see something funny and laugh with your friends and get entertained. But to me, since I was a kid, I always looked at comedians kind of like philosophers. A lot of the comedians I liked ever since I was, like, a little boy, to me, I'm like, whoa, they spin this idea, and I never thought of it like that. And so to me, I always joked and told people, like, to me, comedians are like the last philosophers, or at least the good ones are. So, and I do see that in the crowd. A lot of them do sometimes look for that. They're like, oh, you know, maybe this guy can show me a different truth, or show me something, like, I didn't see like that before.
Yeah, and they can step outside the realm of, the audience gets a chance to step outside the realm of pop culture.
Yeah.
Of pop culture, because there's so much political correctness in pop culture. People always, the way things are revealed in the media, and they're so careful not to offend anybody, but people probably get fed about it. Hey, what the hell? I can say what I want about a certain group, and I'm not going to say it, but I can go to a show and hear someone else, you know, and connect with their non-political correctness, or how they're blatantly, and which may be offensive, but hey, what the hell? You can't do this outside a venue. But an audience gets to live through the performer in that way.
Yeah,
through the comedian.
But the main thing is, I'll tell people, the first and foremost thing people go there for is to laugh.
Yeah.
And it's the comedian's job to know, hey, they are here to laugh and pop and everything. And, it's like, this is kind of where I even kind of am a little hypocritical, because I even say, like, I hate those comedians that critique other comedians. But I always say, I don't know, have this ideology, because I sometimes step back into stand-up here and there, and there's a bunch of new people, and some of them are popping, some are funny now, but there's a couple I'll see, I'm just like, man, I've seen this person, and mind you, I'm keeping it very vague, I've seen this person, like, last time I saw them was 6 months ago or a year ago, and they're still doing the same lame jokes, and the crowd looks like they're falling asleep. Why are they still doing it? So that's something this is me getting critical and saying to every comedian that wants to do this, like, really get in this to do this. Don't just say, like, oh, I'm doing this so I can do this and have fun, because other people might not be having fun. If I want to have fun, what am I going to do? Go up on stage and touch myself? No, you're here to work. You're here to get the crowd to pop. And when I see some of these comedians and, like, these new people, and they're not getting that pop, and it's been 6 months since they started, a year since they started, you got to find, I tell people, give yourself a timeline. If the crowd doesn't like you within this time, stop and just walk away from it. Go find something else. It's totally fine to go find another art form to express yourself. This one might not be for you, or maybe it's not the right time. Spend another few years to figure yourself out. But yeah, like, I think that's, as a comedian, and I've seen other comedians, there is something that's shared with, like, some of the more experienced, is that, yeah, nothing's more annoying than seeing the same damn new comedians that aren't funny keep going up on stage doing the same not funny stuff. And you're like, buddy, you're making us sit through this again. The crowd's falling asleep. Now we're going to go up and try to wake them up after this train wreck. So that's something I try to, like, it's tough to say it to new comedians too, because you want to sound like a jerk, but it's just like something, people should know. Give yourself a time, and don't make it long, like 6 months or a year. If you're not selling within 6 months to a year, don't do it. It's weird too, like with the whole pop I was talking about, and the whole, like, selling and trying to get the crowd, like, I guess you can edit this part in, is me saying, like, if you really, really do want to do this, and you're not finding that you're selling, talk to other comedians, like, really humble yourself, and break whatever you're doing. Find whatever weird thing you're doing, maybe you don't see it, other people do, but break that, like, really listen, study comedies, like, if this is something you want to do, then do it, and do it to the fullest. And I think that's why, like, even, back when I was saying comedy is cliquey, I think it is, part of it is, it's a lot of that hard work you're getting until you break through the other side, and now you're selling the crowd, and their crowd's all, like, usually you're always getting people laughing until you're at the point where people are always laughing at your jokes, and you're always like, now, like, you're a pretty damn good comedian. And to get there, it is a lot of work, but other comedians want to see, well, are you putting in that work, or are you just going up on stage doing the same damn thing? And by that time, after seeing so many new people come in doing that same damn thing, and you're like, and it does crowd up and flood the stage, where it floods up the time for other comedians that are there to work, and it floods up the crowd that are now getting bored of seeing the same, like, not even mediocre, just crappy comedians, crappy new comedians, try and fail, and try, I use that very lightly, because to me they aren't trying. Like, really go and study comedy. Yeah. Why, that's one thing I tell, like, new comedians, if they actually, like, ask me some opinions, I ask them first, I'm like, why'd you get into this? Who are your favorite comedians? And if they tell me this and that, I'm like, well, find out what made them funny. Really dissect and learn to dissect this. It's an art form. Learn, like, I didn't learn how to draw just by, okay, I'm drawing. I went and studied, and I studied the people I liked, and not just that, but I studied how they thought, studied all these things to understand why they do this brushstroke like this. You're in this to be in this, like, I think that's one thing I always hated when I did comedy, some people were like, I went up on stage so I can, just so I can tell my friends I finally did it, something else I want to do. No, I finally did it. It's like, well, now you're making me like a jerk-off because you're treating my art form like a jerk-off fest. Yeah. Like, I did it because I did it. No, do it because you want to do it, and do it for the long run. Don't do it just because, like, now I can tell my friends I did it.
Yeah, I'm there, buddy.
Yeah. I had a few girls I met, like, oh, yeah, I did that a few times. Oh, yeah? Like, how did that go? Oh, it was good. How many times you did? Oh, just a couple times. And it's just like, then shut up. I think, then that's the thing, like, new people. So now I'm kind of giving the argument for the other side, the side that is cliquey. And I do understand a bit of why it is a little cliquey, is because people come and go so much, and to show that, like, look, you gotta be, and for me, like, it took me a while to even break into those clickiness, and it was because I did show, like, when I started, I was doing like 2 or 3 shows a week. Oh. So I was just working. And this was me living in Coquitlam. I was driving out there, spending that gas money, finding the parking. I got towed a few times. Like, I just put in I put it in. And then after a while, then when I felt like, okay, like now I got my groove, then I started doing a show like maybe once a week or twice a week. And then it got, a little less, like, once every 2 weeks. And then I just, after I got my license suspended, I just went off to other art forms, and now I'm just like, I don't want to do it until I write new jokes. But it is like, that's one thing I would tell comedians, like, get into it because it's your art form. It's a medium. It is work, treat it like a job.
Your position is, the performer obviously can get something out of it, but the first platform for doing it is entertaining the audience, and you have to have respect for the art form. Yeah, you want to improve. It's not the performer doesn't fulfill his own
ego.
Ego or whatever he's getting.
One of the most dangerous things in the world is ego,
or whatever they're getting out of it. Yeah. At the sake of
it's ego
of not entertaining the audience. Yeah. You have to entertain the audience.
Yeah, everything. Like, I don't know, a lot of my spiritual studying and self-studying and all that, you just find out a lot of problems are just, within your ego, within, like, the thing in you that makes you jealous or makes you feel like you need to have pride. And unfortunately, like, stand-up is one of those things where people go up on stage and like, oh, yeah, I did this for my ego. I did this so, just like I said, so I could tell my friends I did this. Even me right now, the only thing that drives me to want to go back to doing stand-up right now is ego. My friends want me to go do it. My friends are saying, oh, you're so funny, you should go back and do it. But my real self is not ready to go back yet. Like, I will go back when the time is right. Right now, I just feel like in my life with this and that, these art projects and that art projects, it's not the right time. And that is the honest truth of it. Like, so ego versus honesty. And so these people that want to go up on stage for their ego, well, honestly, is this really what you are going to do for the next few years? If not, then don't do it. Go join a cafe improv or something. What other question were you asking, though?
Oh, no, we're good. We got to talk again about your art.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, this is fun, yeah. Like, I'm always down to help you out.
Hey, so, listeners, we're just speaking to the man, Babz Kabaz,
man, you're the man,
who was so gracious to take his time with us and speak with us. We got this 2-part interview. So, Babz, we're going to talk again, right, about your art and everything.
Yeah, for sure, man. This is a lot of fun, and I'm always here to help you out, man. You're a good guy. And, yeah, thanks for supporting the local art scenes.
Hey, Babz.
Yes, sir.
You looking for someone in your upcoming sketch? Improv things on YouTube?
I don't do any of that anymore.
Oh, okay. Too bad.
Right now, I'm just working on a comic book.
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk.
Yeah.
We're going to talk.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Hey, awesome, Babz. Always a pleasure.
Hey, my pleasure, man. It was awesome.